Hi students, how are you? I am missing you and missing teaching so much. I wish that we could be in the classroom, but I am very excited that I can keep teaching with these videos. I know it is not the same as being together, but at least we can keep learning English and we can keep having fun while we have to stay at home. Today, we will start Unit 7 in the book. We will learn new words to talk about finances. Finances, that's a big word. What does it mean? Finances is anything having to do with money. Finances are things that have to do with money. So we are going to talk about money and we are going to talk about shopping. Of course, I like to start every lesson with a question. So my question for you today is, what have you bought recently? What have you bought recently? We all have things that we have to buy. And as I said, my question is, what have you bought recently? Now, we are staying at home, so maybe you haven't bought anything recently, but what are things that you usually have to buy on most days? What are things that you buy only sometimes? We're going to talk about things that we can buy. So, here are some examples. A house. Maybe you have bought a house recently. One of our classmates, Mimi, bought a house this summer. Maybe you dream of buying a house one day. A house is something you can buy. Clothes. We all need clothes. You need clothes. Your children need clothes. Have you bought clothes recently? Toys. Of course, we are all moms and kids love toys. Have you bought your children any toys recently? Gifts. Have you had to buy a gift or a present for somebody's birthday or maybe for a holiday? A car. Cars are expensive. Have you bought a car since coming to the United States? Furniture. Furniture is what we use in our house, like tables and chairs. Have you bought any new furniture recently? Groceries. This is something everyone buys. Have you been grocery shopping recently? What did you buy? Everyone needs groceries. Electronics. Have you bought any electronics recently? Electronics are things like computers, tablets, phones, TVs. Have you bought any electronics recently? As I said, we are starting in Unit 7 of the Ventures book. As I always do, I'm going to introduce you to new vocabulary first. I will put your new vocabulary words in blue, as always. I will tell you when you need to write a word down. Don't worry if you miss a word. We're going to go over everything at the end of the video. Let's start. Our first vocabulary word is cash. Cash is another way to say dollar bills or coins. If you pay for something in cash, you are paying for it with dollars and coins. Cash. Our next vocabulary word is balance. Balance is the amount of money that you have in your bank account. Balance is the amount of money in your bank account. So I want you to take a minute and get out your notebooks and write balance, the amount of money in a bank account. Did you write it? Great. Let's move on. And if you need to keep writing, you can pause the video so you can write the definition and then continue. Let's look at the word balance. Wendy wants to buy a new car. It cost $3,500. The balance in her bank account is $4,000. She has enough money to buy the car. So the balance in her bank account means that she has $4,000. Your balance is whatever money you have in the bank. You can see in my picture there is a balance statement. That tells you how much money you have. Now we see that Wendy has decided to buy her car. Wendy is buying a new car. She is paying with cash. You see, she has dollars, cash. These are credit cards. Credit cards. When you buy something on credit, it means that you are buying something now and you are paying for it later. If you use a credit card, maybe it is because you do not have the cash. If you want to buy a new TV and the TV costs $500 and you only have $200, you might buy the TV with your credit card and you will have to pay the $300 that you still owe later. So when you buy something on credit, it means you are buying it now, but you are paying for it later. So let's read this example. Mary wants to buy a new phone. She doesn't have enough money right now. She has decided to buy the phone on credit. Our next words are afford and can't afford. You may remember these words. They are review words. To afford something means to have enough money. If you don't have enough money for something, we say you can't afford it. Let's look at an example. Kasim wants to buy a new shirt. It cost $39.50. He has $43. He can afford the new shirt. Our next words are also review words, but I think you should write them down in your notebook. You can write them down while I am speaking and pause your video if you need to. The first word is a lender. A lender gives money to a borrower. So remember, a lender gives to. A lender gives to someone. A borrower takes money from a lender. A borrower takes money from a lender. Okay? A borrower takes from. Money you borrow is called a loan. Now that is a new word. Money you borrow is called a loan. The next word is financing. Remember, I told you finances are things having to do with money. So financing is a word that means borrowing money from a lender, usually a bank, in order to make a purchase. It is the same as buying something on credit. We usually use the word financing to talk about big purchases, like a house or a car. Financing is when you borrow money from someone else so you can make a big purchase. We're going to look at an example. The Lin family bought a house last week. Now, houses are expensive, right? So they got financing from the bank to help pay for it. The Lin family bought their house for $100,000. They paid $10,000 in cash and financed the other $90,000. Borrowing money isn't free. The bank told the Lin family they need to pay 5% interest for borrowing the money. Interest is the extra money you pay the bank for lending you money. So take a moment to write that in your notebooks. Interest is the extra money you pay the bank for lending you money. Usually, when we talk about interest, it's a percentage. Here, the Lin family has to pay 5% interest for borrowing money. That means the bank will charge them more than $90,000 to pay back their loan. The bank will charge them $90,000 plus the 5% interest. It will take the Lin family a long time to pay off their loan. Pay off. There's some new vocabulary. What does that mean? Well, to pay off is to pay everything you own on the house. The Lin family still needs to pay $90,000 plus interest to pay off the loan. Now they have a lot of debt. Debt is money you owe. Say that word with me. Debt. You'll notice you don't hear the B sound. Debt. Write that in your notebooks. Debt. Money you owe. With interest, their balance is now more than $90,000. Here's that word, balance, again. Balance. Do you remember I told you that's how much money you have in your bank account? Well, sometimes we use balance in another way. Balance can also mean the total amount of money you still owe on something. So if you take out a loan, your balance is what you still owe to pay the lender back. Write that down in your notebooks. Now I want you to make sure you have all of these words in your notebook. These are all of the definitions that we went over in the slideshow. If you need to pause the video, you can pause the video and write down all of these definitions in your notebook. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I look forward to seeing you in video 2.